So I came across this elderly lady that was advising women that it's important for them to consider put their children into consideration before running away from their homes, and she was basically rebuking women who choose to leave, and she was just kind of more or less trivializing it and saying it's not just because of what the people outside are telling you. They're telling you, oh, run away, this and that you should consider your children. I understand that she's talking from, you know, experience based on her generation, but we're in a different generation, and there are a whole lot of factors that we need to consider. In their generation, for the most part, a lot of women could not really leave. Some of them, if they leave and they go back to their parents' house, their parents wouldn't accept them. And in many of those cases, such women are not financially independent, and so they end up being stuck there. And sometimes, for in that scenario, that might be in quotes the best option that they have, not because it is the best, but it's the lesser of maybe two evils, because maybe if they don't even have anything and all whatnot, taking the children out and being on the streets could expose them to further the hazard. So, but that doesn't mean that environment where she is being maltreated or where the children are also seeing her being maltreated is the best for them, right? So sometimes what a mother can do for her children, the best thing a mother can actually do for her children in some instances is to remove them from that environment where they are being, abused, or where they're seeing their mother being abused. And in as much as children are very important to be considered, because whatever is going on in their parents' relationship affects them. It's very serious, right? I understand. But at the same time, the well-being of the woman is also important, because sometimes the woman's life could be in danger, and it doesn't have to be just physical. If someone withhold, it's not even hitting somebody, but there are financial needs. Maybe the woman has health needs, but the man is withholding the money. It could lead to the woman being unalived. We've heard stories, recent times here in Nigeria, where a woman, she was in labor, and the husband refused to pay money, or because they had a misunderstanding. And the woman, I think she nearly, got unalive, but I think she ended up getting help and all that. So that's an example. So in as much as he may not have raised hand on her, but withholding financial support, it could be emotional. When someone is always walking on eggshells, it means that the cortisol levels in the body could always be high, and that leads to a lot of sicknesses and diseases. Many married women will tell you that when their husbands are away, they feel okay. Some of them will tell you once the husband is driving in, or they know it's almost time for him to come back, they start having some kind of health issues, headache, this and that. Those are reactions to what they know is going on, when the man is in their vicinity. And it may not even be that the man is raising hand to hit them. So these are real life issues. Women are having chronic sicknesses and diseases because of some kind of relationships that they are in, right? So telling her that she needs to stay there just because she's considering the children is not the best. They also say, even those that quote the Bible, they'll be like, a wise woman builds her home and all whatnot. And people often say that the way the woman is, the woman is the one that sets the emotional vibe of the home. So if you see a mom that is happy, in a good mood, everything is happy. But if you see her sad or whatever, there's that vibe. So my point is this: if the vibe that she's having is she's not happy, even if she's smiling, you enter a room, everybody's smiling, you know that they're not happy. Children are very, sensitive, and they're very smart. They see, right? So my point is, a lot of times that idea of, okay, two-parent household is the ideal. It's not always the ideal. I myself, I grew up in a home where my parents didn't have the best of relationships. There was a lot of physical stuff going on there, and violence and all that. And from season to season, my mom would have to run, because if she stayed, she might end up losing her life. And a time came when I turned 8, finally, she ended up having to leave. And in as much as I missed her so badly, I missed her so much, I even started forgetting what she looked like, because my dad wouldn't let her come to see us. She'll come to the school. I will see her in the school office, but I will pass by, because I know that the school office will report to my dad, and my dad will spank the living daylights out of me. So it was so painful. It was so traumatizing. But do you know what? But I said she left finally when I was around 8 years old. But when I was 13, my father ended up passing. Now imagine, and that was when we ended up being reconnected with my mom. So now imagine if she had stayed, and then my dad ended up maybe unaliving her, whether it's by accident or whatever. And then 5 years later, down the line, he's no longer there. What would have been our fate as children, right? So the thing is, in as much as nobody enters into marriage with the notion that, okay, I want to separate, sometimes if you look at everything and you calculate things, not just the children, but your own safety, your own well-being, your mental health, your emotional space, your future. Because if you're in a relationship that you're not thriving and they don't make you a priority, what will happen if tomorrow they choose to dump the person? Right? You don't have any retirement savings. You don't have even what to use and eat for that day. You don't have what it takes to take care of the children if they abandon the children as well. So those are things that one needs to consider. We don't just use a blanket approach and say, if you leave, it's because you are listening to, women that deceive us out there that are telling you to leave. Sometimes it's important to allow the person that is wearing the shoe and knows where it is pinching to make the decision that works best for them. Because a lot of women that have ended up being unalived or being put in really precarious situations because they stayed, they listen to such kind of advice. So before we come outside and we are giving people some kind of advice about staying or in relationships that are not working, we need to make sure that we have thought things out and we are being careful about what we are saying, because you don't know who will hear what you're saying, and it is that particular advice that you gave that will make them to stay and end up causing their demise or whatever that goes really bad for them. So my point in summary is this: the fact that somebody is elderly does not mean that every advice that they give is right. We are in a different era. Women have it different now. If a woman is exposed, if a woman is financially stable and she has a whole lot of other opportunities that make her different from what her mothers had, then she is in a different space. Yes, in as much as she would want to have a joint family, but if it's not working, sometimes living makes it better for the children to thrive. And I hear stories of, you see children coming up, maybe they'll grow up and they'll be like, mom, I'm so glad we left that our wicked daddy. And I'm not saying that it's the daddy that is always wicked, but I'm addressing this because a lot of times women are the ones that bear the brunt of it all when it comes to being advised to remain, or when it comes to when things go wrong and who gets, hurt the most. So I just thought I'd lend my voice to that. Thanks, and I'll see you in my next video.